Good morning. Welcome to Hobby Evolution, episode 334. Happy Sunday. A little soreness for me. Bike ride was, successful. I hit Dunkin' Donuts this morning. I woke up. I was about to brew some coffee, but I was all of a sudden Dunkin' Donuts power breakfast sandwich hit my mind, and it's like, you know what? It's Sunday. It's a beautiful morning. I'm going to take a quick drive over to Dunkin' Donuts. Got my wife a donut, and so away we go. So a little sore this morning. What's up, Craig? Did my bike ride. Get to that in a moment. I'll talk hobby. I didn't do much hobby, obviously, yesterday. I was biking most of the day. But I did, after I went live, I was doing a bunch of shipping. And I've mentioned this before. I've gone through my, these boxes right here are, and you can actually see that's 2015, the tabs. Good morning, Zach. By year. And for some reason, some of I'll come across cards like a Ohtani rookie card. And it's like, this should have sold a long time ago. And probably what happened, what's up, Herman? Probably what happened in the last 3 years is that Ohtani was super cold for a moment, and my listing on eBay likely somehow was canceled or ran out of time or whatever, even though it was good till canceled, because I've run across a lot of those. So yesterday I was going through the 2018. There was a Topps Chrome insert, and there's an Ohtani, and I have it, the HMT1, and it's like, because I know this hasn't sold, and this was listed 2 years ago, probably when he was cold. It was probably in my store for $2, and obviously it's not in my store because it's still sitting in my eBay box. So this is probably a $30 to $50 card, and I sold a ton of these for between $2 and $3. So that was a pleasant surprise. That was about the only hobby I did yesterday. I did when last night. I missed Hobby Roundtable. Wife and I did some Netflix watching. Watched a movie on Netflix called Good on Paper, which stars Eliza Schlesinger, who's a comedian. And I thought, I saw this and I'm like, oh, this is something that we'll both enjoy because she's funny. And it looked, it had a good premise, and there were funny parts, but it was pretty dark. It was not what I was expecting. Like, it was more dark than funny. Good on Paper. It's on Netflix. It was okay. I'm not giving it a rave review. There were funny parts, but overall it was dark, and it was more cringy. It was very cringy than anything else. So let's talk about my bike ride. So, and I know Dan, I don't think Dan's with us right now, but not in the chat. But he wanted to know some info on some details on the bike ride. Check out Yes Day on Netflix. Interesting. Oh, by the way, Herman, I did go back and I rewatched. We had a weekend where I think it was raining like all weekend, maybe a month ago. At some point, and I watched, what was that show that I recommended and you liked it, but I only watched like 2 episodes. I can't remember what that, dang it, because it's been so long. It's been like a month, but I binged it in one weekend. I can't remember what that show was called, but I liked it. I enjoyed it. There were some twists that I enjoyed. Anyway. So Dan asked on Twitter how long it took me to get to New Glarus. So it was supposed to be 27 miles there and back. But on the way there, so part of the bike path is closed. So there's a detour. And then basically this is right around New Glarus. You have to take some country roads to get into the town. And so there's not like really good signage. So I missed one, and I'm driving driving. I'm riding, and all of a sudden I'm like, I should have, because I planned it out and I knew like the roads, some of them don't have very good signage. So I'm like, I think I should have hit that country road. Now, these country roads, there's more bike traffic than car traffic. That's how, pretty rural some of these areas are. Like, in fact, I think it was a 6-mile stretch of country roads from New Glarus to the bike path. On the way into New Glarus, I think I counted 12 or 13 bicycles and 0 cars. So it's quite bike friendly. So it ended up being, since I missed my turn, it ended up being 29 miles to New Glarus, because I keep saying drive. I rode a mile out of my way and then had to turn around and get back. So it was also the elevation. It was mostly, and I'm not mostly, but it was most of the 29 miles there was downhill. So the elevation was, it was downhill 1,300 feet on average, uphill 1,100 feet. On the way back, it was average of 1,730 uphill, downhill 1,500. Now those numbers are a little different because I took a different, so the last like 6 miles, the home stretch was a different path I took because I was running out of battery. And so I actually had to pedal I pedaled like the 27 miles back. I bet I pedaled 25, which usually I do about 60% pedaling, 40% throttle. But I did want to throttle. There were a couple highway stretches with a lot of car traffic, and there's about a 3 or 4 mile stretch on the highway. There's no bike lane, so fortunately there was kind of a wide shoulder, so I rode off onto the shoulder and hit that throttle just to get moving as fast as I could to get off the highway. So I left at like 10:30 yesterday morning, and I had there were some spots along the way that I just wanted to take a break, which is nice because there were, 1, 2, 3 like towns along the way. So the first stop was Paoli, Wisconsin. Paoli is this like super small, like, population maybe 200, but it's a very artsy. They have this, in fact, on my way back through, hundreds of people in like this beer garden they have. It's called like the Hop Garden, and craft beers and all of that. They have a really nice restaurant that's in an old schoolhouse. It's the Paoli Schoolhouse. And then there's like a pub, bar and grill there. There's a couple art shops. So there's a lot of like unique. So it's great for moms. That's how I although the Hop Garden, I would go enjoy the Hop Garden. So wife and mother-in-law do the art, do the schoolhouse. I'll do the pub and the Hop Garden. So it does have, I think the wives will like this. Wives and moms will like Paoli more than dudes. But it's a cool little small town. So I rode in and I had to take that highway stretch, and I cut across, and I tried to go with Twitter Live, but I just didn't have. So the bike that I have, it's a Magnum, and it's like everything is just like more bulky than standard e-bikes and obviously standard bikes. So it's difficult to accessorize and get phone holders, water bottle holders, and all that. In fact, it took me a long time just to find the saddlebags that I got. I had to buy a different e-bike brand saddlebags that would fit, because they're the saddlebags I bought were Rambo's, which Rambo is also an e-bike that's similar to the Magnum, where everything's just like bigger than normal. So I cut across, and I wanted to take some video because the scenery was it was a beautiful ride. It was, between 10:30 and 11 in the morning, just very scenic. And then I came in, and it was rural roads, came into Paoli and just took a water break. I think Paoli was 13. I think that was the 13-mile mark, so just about halfway, which it didn't seem. It seemed like 20% of the way, where it was almost half the way, which is surprising. So I stopped there, had some water, had a great conversation with an elderly man, um, probably in his 80s, and he stopped, and he had Florida plates, and he goes, "Young man, do you know how to use a phone?" I said, "Yeah, I can work my way around a phone." So he was taking his grandson into Verona, which is near where I live, and he had his GPS on his phone. It like erased where he was going. Cruel Summer. Thank you, Herman. Yes, great show. So he couldn't figure out how to plug the address back into the phone. So he's like, "This is the address." And so I looked, I'm like, "Oh yeah, I know exactly where that's at." And he's like, "Well, can you plug it into my GPS?" So he did, had a good talk. The funny thing is he lives in Florida. He lives south of Orlando. And he flew to Milwaukee and then drove over from Milwaukee, got a rental car in Milwaukee, and it just happened to be a Florida plates. And he goes, "Yeah." So that was kind of, had to ask the wife. So good conversation. And then I headed out to the bike trail, the Badger State Trail, which was about a mile out of Paoli. And so I'm riding, and all of a sudden I'm going over this like bridge, and over the bridge, I see what looks to be a bike path. And this is something that I did not study. Accessible. I just assume, now this is the flatlander Illinois in me, where you can access anything because everything is flat. Well, up here, there's rolling hills, and just because you're on a road doesn't mean you can access a bike path because it's 30 feet below you. Oops. So I ride down, and I turn into this like little driveway, and it's like private property. I'm like, well, this isn't the access point. So I looked at my GPS, and I'm like, yeah, that's where I'm supposed to be going. So I turn back around, I find another little driveway, also says private property. So I drive down just thinking maybe I can hit the bike trail somewhere along here. And I couldn't find it. So luckily, there was a man with what appeared to be a metal detector. So I went back up, and I passed him. He was walking up this hill driveway, and I was heading down. So I went back up, and I circled back around just to make sure that was the bike path. It was. I asked him, I said, "Hey, is this the access? Can I access the bike path down this driveway?" And he's like, "Yeah, you're gonna have to go about 500 yards, and you'll see kind of an inlet." So I head down, and it's like, where in the heck am I going? I keep going. Did I step into a horror movie? Oh yeah, I go down 500 yards, and that's where the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is. So I keep riding. Finally, I find that inlet. Unfortunately, that inlet doesn't take me to the bike path, because the bike path then curves this way. So now I have to go like another 500 yards. And finally I caught up to the bike path, and I was able to access. So the next stop, a few miles down, was a small town called Basco, which Basco is even less than Paoli. It's probably 15 or 20 houses. There's only one business, and it's Dot's Tavern. Now, Dot's Tavern is unique because it's a house. It's like, and these are all houses built in, I don't know, the 20s, 30s, 40s. And it's an old house, and sign out front, Dot's Tavern. And the upstairs is the residence, is whoever owns Dot's Tavern, Dot, or whoever has taken over. That's the living residence. The bar is actually downstairs in the basement. And then the backyard, there's neighbors like in any neighborhood. They have a beer garden. It's cool because they have like slabs, patio slabs, like throughout the backyard. Then they have like a bigger patio area. So that was really cool. So I on my way there, I just stopped and just kind of a rest period. I actually didn't on the way down. I didn't go check out the bar. I just stayed up on the patio. And then I headed down to Belleville, which is the next town. Belleville's a little bigger, well, a lot bigger compared to Basco because Belleville's probably a few thousand. So I stopped in Belleville at the park and had a water, and then headed down to New Glarus. And I told you about the issues finding. There were some mean hills. I got up to, and I thought my bike app would record, because it does record like your speed and everything. But in the archives, I can't find. But I do know I hit 40.2 miles per hour going down a hill. I got really nervous, and I think I told Herman this on Twitter. I got really nervous, and I had to hit the brakes, because I'm not familiar with that road. So I don't want to be going 40 miles an hour and all of a sudden hit either a curve, or B, a pothole, and that would have hurt more than I feel this morning. So I hit New Glarus. The now New Glarus Brewing Company is the place that makes Spotted Cow, and they have an awesome brewery. You can take tours. They have a big patio that overlooks the area, but unfortunately, that's closed down during to the public, and they're still not open yet. So I did not go there. So I just went downtown. New Glarus is a really cool, like, Scandinavian town. Um, my words can't do it justice, so just Google it. New Glarus, Wisconsin. It's really cool. It's a cool little town. So there's several pubs and restaurants there. So I'd gone to one. My wife and I had gone several years ago, so I'd been there. So I wanted to check out. There was one down the street, called Ott House, and it looked like they had a beer garden. So I went because I like, I'm outside all day. I'd rather just stay outside, not be in a dingy dark bar. Um, Unfortunately, the beer garden was not open, which is weird. It was like a beautiful 85 sunny day, and everybody's inside this dark, dingy bar. So I ate my burger really fast, had a burger, ate it fast just because I want to enjoy the sunshine. So got out, just kind of tooled around just for a few minutes, and I'm like, I'm just going to get back. I don't want to use up too much battery, just, kind of cruising around. So I head back. That hill that I got down to 40.2 miles per hour, the downside is you have to go back up that hill. And if you're going that fast downhill, imagine trying to get up that hill. Now, with my motor and what power is in my legs, I was like wobbling. Now, again, remember, my bike is 80 pounds. Just the bike with the battery is 80 pounds. Probably had another 10 pounds with the saddlebags. I had a cooler with water. I had my actual battery charger, which is a couple pounds. So it's way down. So it's probably 90 pounds I'm carrying on this bike. So going up this steep incline, not easy. I actually had to walk it up most of the way because it was too steep. So my bike, the app actually only recorded. It was weird because I wanted to navigate on the way there, and so it cut off, and it saved it after only 5 miles. So it was cut up 24 miles plus 5 miles. But the way back, it's all in one recording, 27 miles. So it took me like 2 hours and 45 minutes to get there, and I didn't stop the recording. Like when I stopped, all the places I stopped, it kept recording. So it took 2 hours and 45 minutes, but that was stopping for a minute just to get directions. Stopped in Paoli for 10 minutes. Stopped in Basco for 10 minutes. Belleville for 10 minutes. So probably 2 hours I could get there just going straight through. But you got to take breaks. The way back, I cruised a little more. I was pedaling a lot. I didn't stop very much. Took me 2 hours and 23 minutes to get back. I stopped in Belleville. There was a porta potty right there, so I could use the restroom. But I was in and out, finished half a bottle of water. I did stop in Basco to Dot's Tavern. I actually went downstairs, checked out the bar, had a beer, bought a bottle koozie that says Dot's Tavern, sat outside for a few minutes. So Paoli, I did not stop in. And then I was just like, I was on cruise, head down, let's get home. So my battery, I was very concerned because my battery in the battery bars like stays at like, so I was at like 5 bars the entire ride from 29 miles. I think it dropped to 4 batteries just before I got to New Glarus. Now on the way back, it dropped and dropped and dropped, and I'm like, oh crap. It was almost like when you're on empty and you're driving, and it's like it's like you've got most people keep their fuel tank at least no less than half a tank. I like to push it and get it down to 0. So, when I see I have 5 miles to empty and I'm 8 miles from a gas station, it's a little, actually it's not that bad because I know I can go 10 to 20 miles on 0. So, but when I get down to that number, I get a little nervous, especially if I'm in areas I'm not familiar with. Great. The wife heard you talking about bike riding, and now she's saying we should get bikes. Hey, it's a lot of fun. I'm trying to my wife is like completely anti-bike. But we have some friends, so maybe we can talk her into it. So the bike battery was just dropping and dropping and dropping. And I'm like, so that's why I'm pedaling, because I don't want to, I'd rather pedal and be tired now and save that battery for later, because the further I go, the more tired I'm going to be. I don't want to use up this battery now, and then all of a sudden the last 10 miles I have no battery, which, by the way, I would come to learn there's no way in hell that I could have gone 10 miles without battery. So I'm pushing, and I get into Verona, and all of a sudden now my battery power is like blinking, and it's like, oh crap, I'm done for. So I just kept going. I get to like 2 miles from my house, and there's some nasty hills. And so I get up one, cruise down another. There's one last big hill, and all of a sudden, no battery. So there's a sidewalk, so I push it up. I get to the top of the hill, and then when I turn down to like one of the last roads to my house, there's a big hill, and I can get going. It's not like an extreme hill, 40 miles per hour, but I can get going 32 miles per hour down this hill. So it's a good one. So I get down there, but then all of a sudden, 90 pounds on a bike, when you're on a lightweight and you're cruising down 30 miles per hour, you can sustain that speed for a while going back uphill on a light bike. On a heavy bike, that speed dissipates very quickly. So all of a sudden I'm like trying to pedal, and it feels like I'm trying to push a brick wall. I mean, it's just like so the last stretch, I have to go back uphill, and I had to walk again. I had to walk the bike because my legs were shot. I actually stopped, and I turned the battery off, just to see if, like if you've ever ran out of gas. Remember, I get my tank down to 0 miles. So there's been a few times where I've run it down to 0 and plus, and it's gone dry on me. In old cars, if you turned it off and just kind of wait, fire it back up, and you can get a couple miles out of it. At least one of my former cars, I could do that, and I was able to get a couple miles. It was not enough, but I got a couple extra miles out of it. So figured maybe that's the same case with a battery on a bike. And it was, but not very much. Got me, a few feet, I don't know, maybe 50 yards probably. So fortunately, the kind of the home stretch, there's about a mile long road that goes into our neighborhood from where I was at, mile long, and then into our neighborhood. So the mile long road is basically flat, pretty flat, slightly uphill at the end. So I was able to cruise at a decent pace, 12, 13 miles per hour, pedaling. Yeah, I felt it, but was able to get it. I get to the top. I start climbing the hill, just a short hill, but all of a sudden it's like, holy crap. And there's about another block uphill. And I'm like, how in the hell am I going to get up this hill? Because by now I'm 59 or 56 miles into this trip. And the last 40 have been, or the last, 25 have been pedaling. My legs are a wreck. So I had to stand and I remember as a kid, with my bike, I don't have to do that because I have the pedal assist. Even if I don't have the throttle going, I have the pedal assist so that, I don't have to stand to get that extra power. So I was able to stand up, get that extra oomph, and then get the last block to my house. My legs were so sore. Funny enough, my legs are not sore this morning. I mean, yes, they're sore, but they're not when I got home and, I just kind of sat down for a few minutes. Then I went to take a shower upstairs and I could barely walk upstairs. I was that sore. But this morning I woke up and I'm I got out of bed and I was like, oh, so it'll probably be like when you get no sleep, the next day you're kind of cruising. And then all of a sudden the second day it hits you and you're a wreck. So probably Monday I'll feel like absolute crap. My legs will be sore and I'll be dog tired. Pedal downhill, save the battery for the hills. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So, and that's what the whole way. So my battery strength, it's graded for 70 miles max. So 70 miles is if you're on all flat. And it's also if you're 200 pounds, I'm probably 15 more than that. So I'm a little heavier than what it's graded for. I've got extra weight because I've got the saddlebags and everything on it. So the more weight you put on, the more strain on the battery. So I always, I try to keep in mind, especially if I'm doing a longer trip like this, which I will not be doing a 60-mile trip in the near future. That was just this was a ride that when I first got the e-bike, it was kind of my goal for the year. By the end of the summer, I want to ride to New Glarus. And I did it. And I don't know what's next. I'm going to be very busy the next couple of weeks because my card show is next Saturday. So I'm going to try to hammer out eBay shipments today and then try to add new stuff to my quarter boxes. I want to get some common boxes pulled out. My buddy Scott from Dubuque is coming over to the show. So I've made I'm in the process of making a box for him. Got to get that finished. And then I turn around and next Wednesday, so we're 10 days away from the National. So I'll be heading down early Wednesday morning to Rosemont. So gonna be hobby busy the next couple weeks. So the bike riding, I probably won't hop back on the bike. Well, I probably wouldn't be able to for a few days, but it'll probably be at least a few weeks before I get back on. So that was my Saturday. Not much going on in the hobby for me, but I'm going to be doing a bunch of eBay today, which fortunately now, since what I really enjoy when I do my shipping is watching the YouTube videos, the hobby YouTube videos as I'm shipping. So I did not watch Hobby Roundtable last night, so I'll watch that here this morning as I do eBay. And then I missed Hobby Hotline yesterday as well, so can watch that. So that's my plan for today. Thanks for tuning in. And I should be back on live again tomorrow, which will be normal time, 6:45 Central. Herman says the new Gypsy Queen looks awesome. I'm an Allen and Ginter, and it seems like Allen and Ginter and Gypsy Queen, it's like you like one or the other. Like, not too many people that I've known in the hobby like both products, like Gypsy Queen, like Allen and Ginter. I think everybody, I don't know, is respect a good word? I don't know. I collect Gypsy Queen, but it's another card for me. But Allen and Ginter is, I love opening it. There are a lot of hidden treasures. And that's what I like about Allen and Ginter. There's a lot of like uniqueness to Ginter. So I am more of an Allen and Ginter. In fact, I rarely buy Gypsy Queen. The only Gypsy Queen I typically, in the past, when you could get retail at Target, if it was there and I was looking for a rip, usually Gypsy Queen was on the shelf because it's not a very, in-demand product. So it was like always on the shelf. If it came out, I would buy like a blaster, maybe 2 blasters just to rip, something to rip. But I've never bought a hobby box. I don't seek out Gypsy Queen, but now Allen and Ginter. Last year I bought a case, and it was more because I'm a huge fan of Ginter, and I'm a huge fan of Allen and Ginter, and I've bought cases in the past. In the past, I had great luck, like phenomenal, like amazing pulls out of Allen and Ginter. And last year was a complete dud. Now, it was for the fun. Like, I didn't buy the case to flip. Now, yes, I ripped and flipped it, but that wasn't like, I wasn't looking to make money, or, I was just looking, I enjoy the product. I love it. It was an entertainment rip for me. And then, what I pulled. But it is kind of disconcerting when you sell $500 worth of cards out of a $1,500 box. Now, I know you're not going to make money on boxes and flipping. What's up, Diego? But, it does kind of stink when you only make a third of your price back. Herman's getting 3 boxes of A and G. Yeah, Herman. Yep, the monsters, the insert set, the minis. Yeah, again, I don't know what, I haven't looked because I don't plan on buying any Ginter this year. I'm just kind of, I think the retail craze has kind of soured me on opening new product, opening sealed wax. It's just not, it doesn't do it for me. Now, I do love a good rip. But it's just, I don't really go seek it out unless it's Bowman. Bowman I will seek out. But I haven't looked to see when Ginter is coming out. Now, I know this is easy to remember because Ginter always comes out the week of my wedding, now anniversary, so it should be on a normal calendar year. It should be released like this upcoming Wednesday. But I think, let's look this up now. So I always go to Blowout first to see what they say, because they like they are very on top of release. 2021 Allen and Ginter, that's Chrome. 2021 hobby case. So they have not raised prices from last year. So it's been pushed back to August 25th. So it's yeah, and it's funny because the description, this product is scheduled to release on August 25th. And then in the paragraph, it says, now in its 15th year, Topps Allen and Ginter returns in July with notable stars from MLB. So yeah, I think basically anything that has a standard release date is pushed back a month. Yeah, August 25th is the new release date for Ginter. So maybe I'll buy, maybe by August 25th, I'll want to buy a box. I don't know. We'll see. But Ginter is still, even though I don't plan on buying any, it's still my favorite product, um, along with Bowman and Topps Heritage. I would say I would rank right now, and it changes. Like if I get a box and start ripping in, it's like, oh, Ginter's my favorite. But then Bowman comes out and it's like, oh, nope, Bowman's my favorite. So I would rank it Bowman, Ginter 2, Topps Heritage 3. I think those would be my Topps Heritage Miners. I'm gonna loop Heritage Miners in with Heritage because I love Heritage Miners and it's a little cheaper. So those would be my top 3/4 products. If I knew I could find retail, I would go that route. Allen and Ginter retail sucks. As much as I love Allen and Ginter, I will not touch retail. The blasters absolutely suck because in some products, and here's what I think, because the hits, like the only hits you're gonna get on average most of the time in retail for Ginter is gonna be the dollar box relics, which are garbage. I think they should do away with those. They shouldn't be a hit. They can keep them in, but they shouldn't be a hit. But like with like Topps Archives, Topps Heritage, you get the high numbers, the short prints. Now in products like Heritage and in Archives, you can sell those for $2-3. And then if there's a star, depending on the checklist, if there's a star, those sell for more. But in Ginter, the high numbers don't sell for that premium. Like a Ginter high number sells for, a common, we'll use Sport Lots numbers. A common's 18 cents. A high number, most sellers are going to put for like 25 cents. Like it's basically another common that's, not worth anything. They'd be, if I was putting high numbers in my store, which I don't, and I have tons of Ginter from the last few years, I don't even mess with the high numbers because I just put them in the common piles. If I did list them, they'd be the 99-cent free shipping. So Allen and Ginter retail absolutely sucks. Topps Heritage is, at least in Topps Heritage, you get the short prints, so that makes it a little better. And there's one other product that I just absolutely hate for retail. Ginter and Heritage are two. Maybe it's just those two that I'm thinking of. But I love, and this is all in terms of now when it comes to hobby versus retail, Topps Archives retail is awesome because you're going to pay like $100 for a hobby box of Topps Archives, and you're going to get 2 autos of Bob Walk and Sean Dunston, which I would love a Sean Dunston. I have plenty, but I would love to pull one. But those are the types of autographs you're going to get even in the hobby box for $100. Now, you can buy blasters, and they seem to fall much more prevalent in retail. Like, in the past, I've bought like 5 blaster boxes of Archives, and I've pulled 2 autos. Yeah, it's all a numbers game, but I've bought a lot of retail Archives, and I've pulled a lot of Archives retail autographs, and they're the same. They're Bob Walk, and there's a Twins pitcher that Brad Radke, guys like that, the fan favorites autos. So Archives retail, much better buy than Archives hobby. Kind of similar with Bowman. I would much rather spend $300 in retail than buying a single hobby box. Yeah, you're not going to get the chance at a really awesome chrome auto, most likely in retail, but overall, like, you can still move the chrome firsts for a decent chunk. You can still pull some autographs, whether it be the green or the paper, which sell for a lot less, but it's you're going to get a lot more cards, more bang for your buck. So that's my soapbox for hobby and retail. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great Sunday. And I'll be back on live tomorrow, same time, 6:45 a.m. And I say same time, Monday through Friday. I don't know what I'm going to talk about tomorrow, but we'll find out. Diego says, expect a TTM request from me, LOL. All right. So have a great one, and we'll talk tomorrow.